Chelsea fans, that was a massive 3 points. Chelsea beat Tottenham 4-3 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium to secure second place and get a 4-point lead over Arsenal. In the same fixture last season, Chelsea won 4-1 with Nicholas Jackson securing a hat-trick and Tottenham playing a ridiculously high line. But this game had absolutely everything, and if you're a neutral, you would have really enjoyed it. Now, of course, we did come away with the 3 points, so overall it is positive. 3 points is 3 points. But in this game, there were positives and there were negatives that I want to talk about. So in this video, I'm going to be going over the 5 things that we learned from Tottenham 3, Chelsea 4. Did you know that 90% of the people watching this video right now are currently not subscribed to the channel? So make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you're a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. Make sure you join the community and let's get into the video. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is Jadon Sancho. This guy is in the form of his life. He gets better and better for every game he is playing in a Chelsea shirt. The amount of assists that he's getting and now scoring goals, the boy is frightening. He scored an incredible goal tonight because, again, he decided to shoot when he had the opportunity and it was a great finish. There were a few times in that run that you could see he was looking up to try and release the ball and then he went, do you know what, I'm going to shoot, and it paid off. It was a fantastic finish. But this guy was all over it the whole game. He was so sharp. Every pass made it to its destination. He was always looking to create something. He was always looking to receive the ball. He was happy to beat a man or even win the ball back and keep the Tottenham players off of him to then supply a pass. His all-round game was fantastic, and for me personally, I think he was man of the match. Now, I know man of the match was given to Mr. Cole Palmer, and we'll talk about him a little later in the video, but Jadon Sancho is in the form of his life, and it needs to be celebrated. It's such a stark difference from the Sancho that we saw at Manchester United under Ten Hag than we are currently seeing under Enzo Maresca. Whether it's the attitude, whether it's the culture, whether it's the manager relationship, whether it's the freedom to play the football that Jadon Sancho plays best, he was absolutely exceptional tonight. The second thing that I want to talk about is no discipline. We had no discipline throughout large spells of this game. Now, I will say that Chelsea did go on and dominate most of the game overall when it comes to possession and creating chances, but there were too many sloppy moments where we were punished by Tottenham. Now, credit to Tottenham, they started this game incredibly well, scoring 2 goals in 2 minutes, and they both came from unfortunate slips from Marc Cucurella. Now, am I blaming the goals for all that? No, I'm not. It happens in football, right? You can see that Marc Cucurella had the wrong footwear on, which I still don't kind of understand in 2024. Surely, like, the kit man and that they had a bit of an argument on the sidelines. Cucurella went to change his boots. Obviously, he has to take some responsibility because of the actions that followed it, but I'm not blaming him at all. To concede 2 goals in quick succession in the first 10 minutes just showed a lack of discipline, and we looked incredibly shaky for the first 15, 20 minutes of this game. Yes, we got back into it, and that was great. We got that early. We got the goal to kind of counteract the 2 that we conceded, but we looked very shaky and had no discipline. We were too touch tight to our players and we were getting caught out. We were making silly fouls. Caicedo was very lucky to not be sent off for a late challenge on a Spurs player, and it was very lucky to not go to VAR. Anthony Taylor actually just said, nah, I'm going to stick with my decision and play on. We got very lucky with that. It did get counteracted later on in the game with Kulusevski's elbow on Lavia, which equally should have been a red card through VAR. So it kind of balanced out through the game, and I felt like Anthony Taylor did a very good job in that sense, which are words I never thought would leave my mouth. But overall, the discipline for a few spells in this game, it just simply wasn't there. The distribution was awful. Everyone looked like they were Bambi on ice or didn't really know what was going on, and Tottenham punished us. Now, I will admit, for a spell of the first half and 99% of that second half, we regained our discipline because we started controlling the game a bit more, we settled down, and Enzo Maresca changed a few things. But we still lacked discipline when it really mattered. We gave away that 3rd goal from a lack of concentration and a lack of discipline. We shouldn't have let that opportunity even get to the point where a cutback was on for Son to finish. And that brings me to my next point. The third thing that I want to talk about is Enzo Maresca's game management was spot on tonight. He noticed things weren't working in that first half and he changed them at half time, and Chelsea completely transformed, regained their discipline and regained control of this game. And this is something that Enzo Maresca needs to be praised for when it goes his way, and he needs to be criticised for when it doesn't work. He started the game with Caicedo at right back and then inverting into midfield like he did against Aston Villa. Now, Aston Villa set up differently to Tottenham. Tottenham usually play a very high line, but today they pressed us aggressively for a big spell. They got their 2-0 lead and then they sat back and just let us attack, let us have the ball, and they wanted to hit us on the counter. There were too many times in that first half we were getting caught out due to the lack of discipline and, positional changes, giving away fouls. Caicedo down that right-hand side, he's looking after Son, of all people. And he's not a natural right-back. He still did a very good job. I think Caicedo had a very good game overall. But Enzo Maresca was noticing things around the pitch, noticed that things were a bit shaky, so he changed things at half-time. And we were a completely different team in the second half, bringing in Gusto. And then we started to regain control of the game. We got back into it. And then it was just kind of... we were knocking on the door. It was a matter of time before we scored again because Tottenham, you could see, were getting, their defence chipped away more and more as the game went on. But Enzo Maresca managed this game perfectly. He set out with something that worked very well in a previous game that surprised a lot of people and also incorporates Caicedo, Lavia and Enzo. And I do back that system. I think it works very well when it works. And I'm not saying it completely folded today. I just feel like it was exposed a little bit, and before it got too bad, Enzo Maresca went, right, we're going to change things up. I also think Lavia getting booked didn't help that, so he wanted to take Lavia off at half-time, but that allowed us to change the system to something that's a bit more natural to this team, and we go on and get the 3 points. The fourth thing that I want to talk about is Nicholas Jackson was miles off it today. Now, this isn't going to be a segment where I just bash Nicholas Jackson because he has been exceptional this season. He's been very clinical with a very high conversion rate, and his link-up play is great. We know this. The way he carries the ball forward is fantastic, but today he looks sluggish. He got caught out a lot. He couldn't link the play up as well, and it was blatantly obvious. Now, I'm not a type of fan that wants an instant change. You've got to allow these players to get into the game and kind of see if they're going to settle in or if it's just not the game for them. Now, last year in the same fixture, Nicholas Jackson got a hat-trick. He played very well. He linked up the play and drove that attack forward and allowed them to flourish to then get the service for the tap-ins. This game, he just struggled. He just looked miles off it, and I don't know what it was. Maybe it was Romero, who for the short period he was on, and Van der Ven just keeping him quiet. But he just looked miles off it today, and it was almost like a breath of fresh air in the wrong way to be like, oh, he's not always going to be great. He's been so good this season, but he's not always going to be performing like that. And it was just one of those games where he wasn't at his best. And, the introduction of Nkunku, I feel like Nkunku did okay, but they're two completely different players. At that point, I feel like we did control the game and we were putting the pressure on. And that's not to say that Jackson wasn't included in the link-up and the hold-up play. He was still doing his bit, but it wasn't to the standards that Jackson has set himself. So today, he gets the red box because he was just miles off it to what we used to. And before we get into the fifth and final thing that we learned from Tottenham 3, Chelsea 4, we have some honourable mentions. And the first honourable mention is Romeo Lavia is incredible in that double pivot. He played exceptionally well for the half that he was on. He was everywhere. When we were shaky at the back, he was the guy that was cool, calm and collected to help us get out of those situations. He was always available for that pass, always looking to play it forward. Even when he had to track back and recover the ball, he was just so good. And I understand that Romeo Lavia isn't fit enough for a full 90 of his intense role that he plays in that middle of midfield. But when he does play, he's fantastic. Now, I do feel like the booking he got did hinder him playing a little later on in the game, and Enzo Maresca did pull him off at half-time, which I think was probably the best move. He brought Caicedo back into midfield. We played Gusto right-back, who's more of a natural right-back, and it worked very, very well. We started controlling the game a bit more, and Gusto got involved in a lot of play. And we were like Caicedo and Enzo in the midfield. We know how good that partnership is, but slowly starting to become, and has been showing us over the last few games and few weeks. But like Romeo Lavia needs an honourable mention because he was fantastic tonight. When we were so poor at the back, he was that shining light to kind of help pull us out of the trenches in them shaky moments. Obviously, we still conceded 2 goals in the first half, but they weren't from Romeo Lavia mistakes. He was actually trying to repair the damage that was been done. So the first honourable mention is Romeo Lavia was fantastic. And my second honourable mention is Enzo Fernandez is on fire. Another goal for him tonight. He was, again, exceptional. He has become this completely brand new player, and I should be giving him a normal box in the 5 things we learned because he's just been consistently so good. That finish was fantastic and instinctive. He was part of all of the attacking play today. But I don't want to give him one of the other boxes because I feel like there's other things that need to be highlighted. And Enzo has been fantastic week in, week out for the last 4 or 5 weeks now. And we're starting to see the World Cup winner Enzo Fernandez in a Chelsea shirt. And I am so happy with all of the stuff he's had going on in his personal life and the abuse he gets from a lot of people, whether it's our fans or outside rival fans saying that he doesn't live up to the price tag, he's not very good, blah, 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 blah. He has just silencing those haters right now, and I'm all here for it. He was fantastic tonight. So he does become an honourable mention for me in this video. He was fantastic, a great finish. He just looked sharper, he looked more on the ball. There was only one, maybe two criticisms of him, and that's defensively, which isn't his strong point. We know that. But his overall game was fantastic today. He was definitely up there for a man of the match performance. I think it was between Palmer, Enzo, Jadon Sancho for me, and obviously Caicedo always plays exceptional, so he was up there as well. But for me personally, I'd give it to Jadon Sancho. I just thought he was a cut above everyone else. But Enzo had a very good game. Not only that, but he's had 7 assists and 3 goals in something ridiculous like his last 7 or 8 games. The guy's in the form of his life, and I'm genuinely so happy for him. And the 5th and final thing that we learned from Tottenham 3, Chelsea 4, is Cole Palmer is not from this planet. This guy is exceptional. He scored 2 penalties tonight, and I know a lot of people say, oh, he just scores penalties, blah, blah, blah. The nerves this guy, he's got balls of steel. That Panenka penalty was so cold. So cold. And I just feel like there must be nothing going through his head. You know, he had things hurled at him all night from corners, which it seemed pointless to me. Tottenham fans were ripping up their own programs and throwing them on the pitch, which just seems so daft. But hey, you know, each to their own. He had, you know, being booed, having things thrown at him all game, and then he gets 2 goals and an assist today. People say he doesn't perform against top 6 clubs. Well, he definitely did tonight. He got 2 goals and an assist. Admittedly, there were penalties, but 2 penalties in quick succession, 2 different styles of penalties. The guy has nerves of steel, and he not only put us ahead, but then gave us a goal to give us a cushioned lead, which came in handy because we conceded a late goal from some sloppy defending in the last minutes of the game, which made that last sort of minute and a half a bit nervy, and it didn't need to be. Cole Palmer, we know how good he is. We can go on about him all day. He's just been exceptional. And if I'm being honest, in the first half, he was very quiet. He was trying to get involved, but he wasn't having a particularly great game. But in that second half, he come alive, and he grabbed the game by the scruff. Obviously, scoring the penalties is, you know, you're expected to as an attacker, but he took that on his shoulders. He still hasn't missed a penalty in a Chelsea shirt, which is wild when you think about it. And he grabbed himself an assist to arguably a man of the match performance. I think he was given the man of the match for his 2 goals and an assist today. So yeah, he has to be the 5th thing we learned, that he's not from this planet. The guy is out of this world, and I'm so happy and so blessed that he plays for Chelsea. So those are the 5 things that we learned from Tottenham 3, Chelsea 4. Do you agree with my analysis, or do you disagree? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I love having a conversation with you guys. Now, if you did make it this far to the end of the video, there'll be a thumbnail that pops up on the screen. So if you enjoy Chelsea content and you are a Chelsea fan, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.